Well, hello there and welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I'm your host, Kieran Mack, as always, and delighted you've been able to tune in with us yet again today. Now, before we do get into today's show, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, give us an old share on social media, and if you like listening to us on a podcast player, look down below in the description. There's a nice little link there to Buzzsprout, and in that you will find a list of all the various podcast players that we're on, and whatever one that you would like to subscribe to, you can, and it'll automatically be downloaded to your device when a new show comes out. Also, if you'd like to support the show, there is also a Buy Me a Coffee link down below, and all donations are greatly welcome. So now that that's all done, let's get into the top 5 stories doing the rounds today here in Thailand. The general election has been set for May 14th. The Election Commission has set the general election for Sunday, May 14th, with advance voting a week earlier on May 7th. The EC announced the date for the polls on Tuesday, one day after the dissolution of the House of Representatives, after the commissioners approved the proposed timeline. Date for application for registration of constituency candidates are from April 3rd to 7th at specified locations. From April 4 to 7, party list candidates will file their registration applications, and political parties will nominate their candidates for Prime Minister at City Hall in Ding Deng district of Bangkok. Eligible citizens who want to take advantage of advance voting can register their intention from March 27 to April 13th. Those who are unable to cast their votes can report their intended absence and the reason why from May 7 to 13th and from 15 to 21st. Unofficial campaigning has been underway for weeks now, with parties focusing on economic issues as they seek the support of the 52 million voters who are now ratcheting up their efforts. The opposition Pheu Thai Party is expected to hold full daily events across the country, featuring 7-month pregnant Paetong Shinawatra, who has topped opinion polls as a potential candidate for Premier. In the latest NIDA poll published on Sunday, 49.75% of the 2,000 respondents said they would vote for Pheu Thai. Only 2 other parties polled doubled digits. Move Forward at 17.4% and General Prayat's United Thai Nation at 11.75%. The coalition leader Palang Pracharat Party was far down the list at just 2%. Among those preferred for Prime Minister, Ms. Paetong Tarn topped with the table at 38.2%, followed by Pita Limjanrat of the Move Forward Party at 15.75%, and of course General Prayat at 15.65%. PPRP leader General Prawit Wongsuwan is lumped in with numerous others who collected a total of 3.3%. Candidates for the 400 constituency seats in the next House of Representatives must register for between April 3rd and 7th, the EC said. Parties who also need to finalise their candidates for the 100 party list seats between April 4th and 7th. And basically the rest of the article just goes on a bit about the general election, and they need to also nominate their prime ministerial candidates. I think they can nominate 2 or 3 per party. So yes, this is the vote. The election, next general election, will take place here on May 14th here in Thailand. For people, expats living in the country, that will be a day where there'll be no alcohol available. Probably the night before until midnight to midnight. Normally that's how it goes. And yes, it'll be shaping up to be an interesting election. It looks like, if we were to go by the recent polls, and that was just one poll by NIDA, but there's been various others, which has Ms. Paetong Tarn Shinawatra leading as the preferred prime ministerial candidate, and the Pheu Thai Party winning a lot of seats. We'll see what happens, because things obviously change in this country, and you know, a lot of shenanigans can happen after this whole election has been done. Just remember that the Prime Minister in Thailand is not elected by the people, it's elected by the Parliament and the Senate basically, and while the Senate is packed with a whole lot of hand-picked generals. So we'll see what this is going to lead to. I do hope that whatever way happens, if the Pheu Thai Party win the election in a landslide, that their prime ministerial candidate will be voted in and the people's vote respected, because at the end of the day, that's what the job of these guys in Parliament and the Senate is to do. But we'll keep an eye on it, we'll report back, and I'm sure there's plenty of twists and turns to come. Now moving along, we have more corruption. Warrants issued for 4 immigration officers for crypto extortion. Arrest warrants have been approved for 4 immigration police accused of the abduction of a Chinese man and a Thai woman and extortion of 30,000 tether crypto coins worth about 1 million baht, Deputy Police Chief Police General Surachate Hakparn said. The complaint was filed by the Chinese man, whose name was not released, and his Thai interpreter, Nami Se Lee, with the Ding Dang police on March 20th. They said that on March 10th they were abducted by men from a house in Ding Dang area and taken in a car to a house in Soi Prachanakas 2, also in Ding Dang area. Then the men extorted from them 30,000 USDT, the tether stablecoin pegged to the US dollar. On Monday night, police detained 3 men suspected of involvement. They were taken to Ding Dang police station for questioning. They were questioned separately, all denied any involvement. Police General Surachate said police investigators learned that some police officers might have also been involved. On Tuesday morning, Ding Dang investigators obtained arrest warrants from the Central Criminal Court for corruption and misconduct cases for 4 police officers. Sources say the arrest warrants were for 2 police inspectors and 2 non-commissioned officers, all of them working for the Immigration Police Bureau. 3 of them had reported to their commanders and were being questioned, a source said. 1 had not. So, more trouble for the boys in brown, the bib. That's right, the police yet again. They don't seem to be learning, and I don't know how far these kind of stories have to go before some serious thought needs to go into what can be done to reform the Royal Thai Police. It's getting out of hand. We're now in March. We've had numerous stories this year that have all been broadcast on social media and, obviously through the news media as well, which is something that has been rare. If you look back last year at the amount of cases, this year is just absurd. But they're getting caught. People are not afraid anymore. They're not afraid to go and report what's been going. They're not afraid to put it on social media. And that's the right way to be, because the only way that change is going to happen is if the police finally understand that your corruption will not stand anymore. And I think the last podcast I did, I spoke about police corruption, how, the ways around it being cured. I laid out very many points, and I think a lot of people agreed with them. And I forgot, obviously, one was, to increase their pay, which is a very valid point. But nevertheless, in this kind of story, these people are just people who are just not good individuals. They're taking people hostage. I don't think whether you gave them a decent salary or had any kind of police reform, these kind of individuals are just going to always do what they're going to do because it's inside them. It's in their DNA. So I do think something fundamentally different has to happen with the Royal Thai Police Force. And personally, I think it needs to be disbanded and built up from the ground up again. But we'll see where it goes. These things seem to drag on before anybody ever thinks it's... I think it'll only ever get fixed is when it starts making international media headlines. And then they might do something. Now we're going to move along to another story that we're following up. And it's in relation to the underage girls that were found being trafficked in Phuket. So, bar raid, sex claim hits Phuket. Night entertainment operators in Patong say their businesses have lost about 100 million baht in the last week following a raid on a local bar operated by a foreigner who allegedly employed girls aged under 18 as sex workers. Wirawat Krusombat, chairman of the Patong Entertainment Business Association, we're going to call that PIBA from now on, yesterday met night spot operators to come up with measures to prevent venues from becoming involved in illegal activities, including drugs and procuring minors to provide sex. This was in response to a recent raid conducted by a special task force unit from the Department of Provincial Administration on a bar in Soi Blangla in Katu district last Wednesday, in which 2 suspects were arrested. Deputy National Police Chief General Surachate Hakparn said on Saturday, this guy does get around, in fairness to him. His nickname, if anybody's wondering, is Big Joke, but I never seen a guy to be getting around the country so quickly. Every high profile case, he's there. Anyway, it was operated by a foreigner identified only as Ronnie, who was reportedly fled to Laos. Now, Ronnie apparently is actually Swiss. I've kind of found that out through the grapevine. The suspect also ran bars in Bangkok and its adjacent provinces. Mr. Wirawit said the incident prompted authorities to order all entertainment venues in the area to close at 1 a.m, which has led to a loss of earnings in the sector of at least 100 million baht during the past week. He also urged everyone to act as the eyes and ears of the authorities to prevent further incidents. The same owner also ran 4 restaurants. Authorities have ordered them shut, but the association will call on the landowners to cancel the leases following accusations of underage sex services being offered, he added. So yes, that's just kind of a follow-up on the whole thing with the girls that were found in this bar and in an adjacent hotel. I think the youngest was 15. Again, as they said in this, it's disgusting. It seems to be a foreigner that's involved and seems to be running businesses through illegal nominees. So expect a clampdown on foreign-owned businesses in the near future. It's great to see that the Patong Entertainment Business Association, they're very concerned about it all because they lost 100 million baht. But what gets me most is the fact that they're talking that they lost 100 million baht because they had to close at the legal time of 1 a.m. because now that happened, all the police are there making sure that bars and clubs are closing at 1 a.m., which they're meant to be doing. And they've lost a whole lot of money because they haven't been able to stay open illegally for the last week. I mean, it really is amazing, some of the stuff that comes out of these guys' mouths. And of course, it's nearly natural that they would talk like this. They have no fear of the law whatsoever. The fact that we've lost this amount of money, and by the way, our only concern is we've lost this amount of money. We're not concerned, really, that there's underage girls being trafficked in Patong for sex with foreigners, 15-year-olds, probably 14, 13, who knows? They're not concerned about that. They're concerned about the money they've lost because they're not able to stay open after the closing hours. I mean, it's unbelievable. You can't make this stuff up sometimes. You really can't. But nevertheless, that's the story and the follow-up on it. It's a Swiss national, I believe, and he has apparently fled out of the country. He owns a lot of stuff in this country, so it'll be interesting to see what happens to him and his level of involvement. But yeah, I think Patong needs to clean itself up. It's a sleazy cesspit, and it really does need boycotting at some time. I think people need to say, look, get your shit together and we'll come back. But this is disgusting. And the behavior of some of these guys in somewhat power, the fact that they're only concerned about profit and not human beings, I think says the most about them than anything else. But moving along, and this is an interesting story. I found another one. Unfortunately, I think Thailand is starting to get a bit of a bad rep at the moment. It's in relation to, actually, this is the article that I found in a UK newspaper. Thousands of Russians flee to Thailand to avoid Ukraine war call-ups as they take over top resorts. Tens of thousands of Russians have fled to Thailand to escape a Ukraine war call-up. Top tourist resorts such as Phuket have been swamped with draft dodgers. Some have taken over neighbourhoods and have no intention of returning home. Figures show that at least 233,000 Russians have arrived on the island of Phuket alone since November. The flood has led to a home price boom as wealthy middle-class arrivals rent or buy to stay indefinitely on long-stay visas. In Pattaya, would-be conscript Nikolai, 25, said he had travelled between Thailand, Cambodia and Laos to escape a call-up. He said, "This is not my war. I've never voted for Vladimir Putin. I can't stop the war by being in Russia, but I will do all I can and all of my income allows me to do to never join the troops and never fight against Ukraine." An insurance broker from Vladivostok, who did not want to be identified, said, "The huge wave of young men arriving here for an indefinite period is impossible to miss." British tourists recently in Thailand noticed the changes. Michael Shackleton, 39, of Disbury, Manchester, said, "In Pattaya you can't move for Russian men of fighting age." Colin Shepherd, 52, of Southampton, who was in Phuket with his wife Helen, said, "All the menus are now in Russian as well as English. They've taken over. About 200,000 Russian soldiers have been killed or wounded in Ukraine in the past year." Sofia Malgavaril, a Moscow real estate agent now working in Phuket, said her clients are mostly men, aged 30 to 35, and very wealthy. And I think that kind of shows you the depth of what people are understanding when they go back home. What kind of, I'm not going to say propaganda. I think singling out the Russians all the time is not correct. I mean, soon when the Chinese start turning up, it'll pale in comparison to the Chinese when they start turning up. 200,000 will be 600,000, 300,000 in a month is estimated next month. So I do think there's an exaggeration because it's possible that Thailand really hasn't filled up with tourists yet, and maybe a lot of Westerners still aren't traveling to Thailand. But you're getting a lot of Russians coming here. And yes, I'm sure there are people who don't want to fight in Ukraine. And would you blame them? Who wants to go there? Who'd want to go there and fight? If it's not your war and you feel it's wrong to do so and you want to get out, why wouldn't you come to a country like Thailand? You know, it's cheap to live here, beautiful beaches, great scenery, great culture, great food. Of course, it's a great place to come. Now, I did read another article that spoke recently about Thailand signing an extradition agreement with Russia in relation to draft dodgers, that they could be sent back to Russia if they're caught here in Thailand. But that story appeared only in The Nation, and it's been picked up by nowhere else. I'm wondering if it's really true. Now, The Nation normally get their stories pretty correct, but if it is true, this might start to deter people if they think that they can dodge the draft, but then they get to Thailand and they could end up being sent back. And you know the way things work in this world. We all think our information is private, but I'm pretty sure it's being shared between countries all the time. And lists could be sent to Thailand, find these guys and send them back to us straight away. These kind of things. Thailand wants to have a cozy relationship with everybody. Take no sides, lap up the money and pretend like nothing bad is going on in the world. And that's basically, I think, how they've been functioning since they reopened. Now, finally, tourists exempt in jet ski license crackdown. Tourists are not required to have the correct license in order to operate a rental jet ski, Phuket Marine Police Chief Lieutenant Colonel Surachate has confirmed to local media in Phuket. The confirmation follows Phuket Marine Police issuing a warning that people caught operating a jet ski without the correct license, technically a Helmsman Class 2 license, face a fine of between 1 and 10,000 baht or up to 6 months imprisonment. The warning also cautioned that any person caught operating an unregistered jet ski faced a fine of up to 10,000 baht. If the jet ski is rented from an operator, the client does not need to have a driver's license, Lieutenant Colonel Surachate said. The client will not be arrested as they have rented it. The person who holds the driver's license is the rental operator of the jet ski, he continued. However, people who own and ride their jet skis are not exempt. They must have the correct license in order to operate the jet ski, and the jet ski must be registered. Privately owned jet skis can be registered at the Phuket Marine office, and the driver's license can be done at the same office, he noted. The warning was issued on Friday after jet ski rental operators at Bangkok Beach were caught renting out jet skis with expired registrations. The jet ski operators now face a fine of up to 10,000 baht. Lieutenant Colonel Surachate said that the Marine Police officers had stepped up their inspections of jet skis in tourist areas. A team of officers had conducted inspections at several beaches already. Patong Beach, Naka Beach, Sira Bay and Bangtao beaches were all inspected, and they arrested 6 jet ski operators for both not having the correct licenses to operate jet skis and for having licenses that had expired, Lieutenant Surachate confirmed. So that's another bit of a strange one. So you don't need a license if you're renting it, but the person who you're renting it off must have the license. But if you own it and you decide you want to ride it, you must have a license. But the person renting it doesn't need to have a license. It's all very strange. I mean, it doesn't really make that much sense, does it? But of course, this is Thailand, so I'm going to say that maybe this is normal. I don't know. Anyway, folks, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and do all those other things. And we'll see you in the next couple of days as always. Once again, thanks for tuning in and take care. But ultimately, with this story or anything else that stood out to you today, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Because yes, this is a news show, but it's also a conversation. Now keep that conversation going. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and do all the good stuff that does help that YouTube algorithm. But ultimately, my name is Kieran Mack. You've been listening to the Thai Expat Daily Show, and we will see you next time.